spoken to Micah, expected him to be part of OTAs to a greater extent than he was last year. What is his status as far as negotiations right now, and do you have those same expectations as far as the off-season program?
Well, I know that I've spent 5-6 hours with him myself and had a lot of discussions. Most of the issues are in agreement on, and I've discussed it all. And so, but we obviously don't have an agreement relative to a new contract. Michael's under contract, and so we'll see how that goes. It's not uncommon for me to visit directly with players, and in this particular case, that's the way I'm doing it.
Why is he easy to work with in that sense, being able to talk to him?
Not necessarily easy, it's just that we can have a good communication, and we communicate well. And he asked for it. He's one of the few people that have my personal cell number.
When you say,
and I called and he called about an appointment, and I called him back, and he was over in Abu Dhabi, and said it's going to take me about 24 hours to get back, but we'll talk.
When you say most of the issues you have an agreement on, you're talking about money?
Of course.
Yes.
The contract issues,
right.
But term,
Yes.
term, guarantees, money, all those things we've had a meeting of the minds on.
Why have you not had that same meeting of minds with his agent?
Well, I don't know that, I'm the one who has to sign the check, and Michael's the one that has to agree to it. So that's the straightest way to get there is the one writing the check and the one agreeing to it talking. And that's the principle that's involved here. And I understand all the other issues, but as you know, it's not uncommon for me to negotiate directly with players, and I've done that. And so we are there. I don't view it as urgent at all. And, some say, well, using the basis that the earlier you get something done, the cheaper. Well, the earlier you get something done, a lot of times the more mistakes you make. And you might want to see a few more cards played, not just with that particular negotiation, but with the whole team. And so I know I'm kind of being a little defensive here, but the idea that the only success is getting a contract done at an early time is incorrect. And I'd rather pay more and get it right than I had pay less and screw it up. And so you can screw it up real good. You can go too early and misread athletic ability. You can mislead availability for the future. You can get a lot of things screwed up by going early. And any contract that's worth noting, as you well know, it takes two to have an agreement. But more importantly, 9 times out of 10, if I wanted to close it, I'd close it. And we don't, because we're looking for other cards to be played.
Is it fair to say, I know you don't want to put a timetable on it, but is it fair to say at this stage you're farther along in the parameters of an extension than you were with, say, C.D. Lamb last year at this point?
Yes, I'd say that's the case, which doesn't mean that necessarily we'll have anything done by training camp or at any time in the future, because he's under contract for the next year. So, but the point is, we have had very good discussions, and we've had a real good meeting of the minds.
With Dak and his health, how do you think he is right now, and will he be a full participant, you think, in the off-season program and going into training camp?
I don't know the definite of what full participation might mean. Everybody will be smart about it. He's, for me, he's every bit under the circumstances on schedule to be able to get ready. What that means is broad, but get ready in a very prudent way for us to have the year we want to have. And so I think he's getting ready to go. He should be there timely. He should be able to execute individually and team and what is required for a lot of spring. And he should be able to do things within reason as far as risk is concerned at training camp.
Would you anticipate making another signing or a trade in free agency ahead of the draft?
Yes, we could, and we certainly don't know that because to do either or that I'm anticipating involves other teams. But I would suspect we may do some more.
When you look at this draft class from top to bottom, as you watch prospects at the combine and things like that, is there depth at certain spots that you feel like this is a strong class in?
I do, and it melds with where we need players. You always need a player, so there's no such thing as not being able to lift your roster level. But still, I like the numbers in the areas that are particularly important to us. What's the fact is that not only with the way you see players changing teams, but also you see so much, many times, young players, rookie players really contributing in the league. Now, that's not new for a player to be outstanding, but still, it is a must in the NFL today for a draft class to come in. If you're going to be successful, it's a must for that draft class to really carry a lot of the heavy lifting and certainly live up to expectations. So you have to do a really good job there. And because of the nature of being able to not only draft at the collegiate level, the amount of talent there is, but also the impact of those collegiate players on your salary cap. They're very salary cap friendly. It's how you have significant dollars invested in veterans, and it's how you offset that by having younger players that give you a average down in what your salary cap is.
With the 12th overall pick, is there a certain position you stay away from? What are you looking to get with that 12th pick?
Oh, I don't think so at all, to stay away from a position because there can be exceptions. There can be exceptions at any position. We had no plans to draft a tweener between a linebacker and a pass rusher when Micah Parsons got there. We had every idea of, matter of fact, we had several prospects and at corner. And so I expect, and the same thing, by the way, bounce back, C.D. Lamb. We, in no way, matter of fact, we frankly were a little light in our evaluation of C.D. just because we thought if he were there, we probably wouldn't go there. Well, the circumstances that day put us there. That's not serendipity, or that's just what the draft is. And when you are sitting there and you get an opportunity that if you're doing your job, you've thought about all opportunities. You've looked around the corners on your roster now and in years to come. So all of those things pretty much make it wide open at position to draft a player.
Yeah, the devaluation of running backs over recent years does not remove running back from that scenario to a certain extent, or where are you with running backs and the value of running backs at that time?
Well, I think that there's exceptions to every plan, and the draft brings that concept out really well. And you could have the player at the end of the day when you get a difference maker that it can trump, if you will, or the idea that you need to pick two players down the road and maybe take a chance on, let's just say in the case of two ends, if you're going to use that big one up front, then you put it all on that one player and take a chance on looking at 2 down in the draft that might give you the player. Anyway, that's the point is that this draft lets us have a lot of flexibility. Our roster and where we are in the roster gives us a lot of flexibility at every position.
Is Micah's contract number a prerequisite before you could really get into the nitty-gritty of negotiations with guys like Deron Bland or Jake Ferguson?
Not at all. Not at all. We've got him covered. If it's a franchise number, we've got him covered. We've got that covered all the way through. It is absolutely non-essential to have a deal with Micah as far as structuring our salary cap over the next year or two.
And with Deron Bland specifically heading into his contract year, obviously he's outperformed a 5th round pick, but what would be your evaluation as y'all talk about his future?
Well, we are buoyed by what kind of player Bland is. And so that's just a fact, and counting on him and his future with the Cowboys. So he speaks for himself. As to the strategy of if you're talking about a franchise or whatever you may be referring to, we'll just have to see how that is at the time we're doing that. But and I know that's not a succinct answer, but it's the real answer. This thing is fluid, it stays fluid, and I literally change my mind from one part of the week to the latter part of the week.
There's been so much talk about certainly the little 30-year drought or whatever else. Have you done enough this offseason to close the gap on the Eagles and really get a Super Bowl team back in play here? And where's the urgency to do that?
You know, we've had, in my mind, I know it is, I want to be real clear. In no way am I satisfied, but I think we've won the 6th most games over the last 15 years in the NFL, or we've won the 5th most games since 15. We've hung around the rim. Now, we missed some real opportunity 2 or 3 times to maybe step up there and get into the championship game and, of course, get into the Super Bowl. The reason I'm saying it that way is that's what I see when I look at what we've done in the past and what we're doing. Okay, I don't wake up in the morning saying it's been that long since we've played in an NFC championship game. We've had good teams, we've had good players. It's not at all satisfactory, but no one has shown me the answer on how to get to a Super Bowl. I've seen all kinds of coaches in the NFL, and I've seen all kinds of general managers in any season not win Super Bowls. And so, yeah, I'm hard on the fact that we're not getting in it last year, that we had the kind of year we had. But I don't sit around and dwell on that long since we have been, and I don't even want to have a tone about it. I've got too many other things that I'm proud of, and I know that we were there and we had an opportunity to get it. It's unbelievable we haven't been back, but I'm just giving you a tone. I don't think when we're preparing next year and getting ready to put this team together, that I don't think in terms of, well, it's been that long since we've done it. I think in terms of what can we do to actually do it at the time. That's not in there.
Jerry, why are you okay with Schotty being a first-time head coach and play caller?
His depth and wealth of NFL experience. He really is one of the most unique people that I've met to have the NFL, the actual in-house coaching experience. Now, he hasn't been the head coach, which is noteworthy, that he has not been the head coach. But I like his football knowledge. I like his demeanor. I think for 51 years old, he has the most unbelievable background in volume of NFL experience, because he's been on that many staffs, he's been around it that long. That plus the fact that we got to work with him and around him for 3 years, let us have a good feel for how he works with players, the players' input about what kind of coach and how much confidence they have in him, how he handles solving problems, both on and off the field, people skills, all of that. We had a real good read. I didn't go into the process necessarily thinking that he would be the head coach. As a matter of fact, candidly, he was, in my mind, going to be our coordinator. And so as we got more involved, the more I looked at it, the more I felt, wait a minute here, we might have an opportunity to take advantage of all the things I've just mentioned. So glad to have him.
Sorry about that. Hey, Jerry, a couple things, and pardon me if I'm asking what others have already asked about the Parsons situation.
I'll tell you if you are. Remember, I'll tell you to get notes from those guys over there.
There you go. In recent weeks, when Max Crosby gets a new deal, and Jamar Chase and Myles Garrett, what was your reaction to that, knowing that you were, on a runway to do a new deal with Parsons?
I've never looked when making a financial decision and acquiring. I have never looked at how other people are paying because more often than not, they're not comparable situations. They just happen to fit the timing and maybe haven't fit the position. What I do is what fits me and what fits the circumstances behind what I'm doing. When I bought the Cowboys, I didn't look at all. I don't even think I knew what had been paid for other franchises at that time. And if you'll look back, I paid more than anybody had ever paid, and I was known as an idiot. Most everything that I have ever had success with, I've overpaid for. But I will tell you, I've had it well analyzed when I did, and in analyzing it, it may have required more time, and I might have let some of the distressed opportunity slide away. But I ended up getting what I wanted to get, and frankly, didn't look back and whether or not I paid too much for it or not. So I don't even look at it as far as a gauge of success about paying a player. And if you'd have gone in 2 years early, you'd have paid him a third of that. I don't even look at that. It's not a factor to me, and it does not impact me at all. The facts are that I'm looking at, frankly, the relationship of what a player is getting with the relationship of the other players and what's available for the other players, probably as much as I'm looking at, well, wait a minute, you paid that much for a tight end, you paid that much for an end. If you'd have done it 2 years ago, you'd have gotten him for 50 cents on the dollar, okay? Those that's not realistic. And usually I'm a pretty a fat payer. I am. I'm not bashful about putting the money out. I ask Emmett or I ask any of them. But it works. And it's worked for me in my life.
And when you think about the flow of the negotiations last year with CD and with Dak, did that influence the urgency at all in getting a deal done with Parsons?
None. I really meant it last year. CD and Dak had all kinds of time working together. I really meant it last year when I was saying I'd hate to pay him and he come out here and have a pull and we miss him for 4 games or something. I really meant it when I was saying it. I was not at all dismayed by the fact that they weren't there. Dak, he's your quarterback. Those reps, those things in training camp are a lot more important to me. So it doesn't. When I want to say this very firmly, you can't live and die over having a contract when they're not honored anyway. I spent a lot of time 2 summers ago with a great guy, Zach Martin, and he had a contract. So my point is, sitting here thinking, oh my God, I've got to get a contract, Parsons got a contract right now. Think about it. So hurry up and get that done. So at the end of the day, I've found it has to fit when it fits. And I've also found that you have to, even though you've got it all beautifully set up, and 2 years ago you made a contract that's a bargain today for all you cap wizards out here. That's a bargain today. What about when that contract guy with the contract comes in and says, I'm not playing unless you give me more money? Do that ever happen? All the time. All the time. So I'm just saying, I don't get that stressed over the issue of, boy, contract now, because it sets in stone that for the next 2 years to come, it's not in stone. They'll have a contract and decide not to play too. And you end up raising the money on that as though you had no contract. Generally, though, we have order, and generally we try to make it work, but I'm realistic about it. Sometimes that happens. And then you have to decide if a guy's got a contract, you've got to decide if not playing 3 or 4 games is worth tearing a contract up. I've literally had contracts at 2 years after I signed them. I'm reapproached with 3 years remaining. I've had that with reapproached that, I'm not coming unless I get more money. But I have a what? I have a contract. What's that? What's that? Well, there goes all your plans that you set your old cap up for and planning to manage and that type of thing. Reality is you got to drive this car every day, every week, figuratively speaking, and deal with what's got you there. I have a lot of confidence in managing money. And I have a lot of confidence in looking around the corner, getting a feel for where the revenue is going to be or not be, or what we're doing with that. So I don't get quite as caught up in self-criticism of not signing somebody right now.
That hasn't prevented you from signing guys, you feel, or going after other guys because it's unsettled in other spots?
I've never had anything I wanted I couldn't get, ever. I'll figure out a way. I really haven't. And I mean, that's within reason. But you figure it out. So because you're dealing with such intangible, when you say, well, we want to do, if you really want to do something productive, turn out every light as you walk out the room. Don't spend any nickel, because you're going to need the nickel the next day, next month, next year. Now that's productive. Just don't spend anything that you don't have to spend. That's productive. But it's no more succinct than that, because you don't know where you're going to spend that nickel when you turn your light out in the house that only the mice are using. You're not. But you'll have a place if you're planning. We always have a place with the Cowboys to spend cap room. You've got to assume that as you go along, but you've got to assume anything you've done trying to mitigate how much you're spending, you're going to have it for something you want real good.
What's it going to take to finish the deal with Micah? And when do you have plans to talk to his agent to get the ball across the goal line?
Listen, when you say take to do that, okay. What's it going to take for Micah to win the Super Bowl? I'm just saying that's about that general, in a statement. We've talked about every issue of the agreement, every issue ad nauseum. So the bottom line is that are you going to declare me a Super Bowl winner when Mike announces he's got a contract? Are you? No. That is not the only thing we're out here thinking about, and is not, and won't guarantee us a Super Bowl. It will not.
To clarify,
the
Jerry, when
plan.
you say you've talked about every issue, do you mean you and Micah or you and Micah's agent?
No, me and Micah directly.
And have you spoken
Like
with
I
his
said,
agent about
Micah
this?
is one of 3 individuals that has my Super Bowl number. Has my cell phone number. He asked for it about a month ago and said, I want to be able to talk to you at any time. And I said, Michael, you're one of the few, but we'll talk anytime. Call me.
What is it?
Anytime, any calls.
What about us?
Okay.
What do agents think of you got when you have those direct talks with players? Do you think they're like, wait a minute, we don't want that?
Yeah, and are you kidding me? That's just not something that you should worry about. You should be worrying about your ability to make it work, and you should be worried about what the player does. Does he have good enough health? Does he have enough skill to do what you're paying him the money for? The agent is not a factor here, or something to worry about. And I don't know his name. And so my point is that I'm not trying to demean him in any way, but this isn't about an agent. The agent doesn't have one thing to do with what we're doing when we get on a football field against a team. Micah does. To the degree I'm involved, I do. The people that have something to do with what we do going forward relative to our fans in football are me and the player, not the agent. And I'm not demeaning the agent. I'm just saying anybody can do this, and that's talk directly to a player. And frankly, most people that negotiate me will tell you that they were better off than negotiating with anybody, Stephen or anybody involved. So this is not uncommon. I've wished directly with as far back as Emmett, Dion, and we, by the way, maintained a relationship that lasted well after their playing days.
Is this a different?
With money.
Is this a different arrangement than you took with Dak, for example, when you did speak with the agent regularly, or at least you negotiated with the agent, you and Steve?
But I spoke with Dak as well, and I spoke with Dak during the contract negotiations. So that's different is not would not be accurate here. If I felt like anybody that we have that I wanted to sit down and talk about his agreement, talk about his business. I can't tell you the players I have come up and talk to me about where they invest their money and what they do, and whether they should, frankly, they're trying to get a read too. How they're kind of looking at their future. I should do that. I can do that. I'm a good one to talk to about that.
Micah obviously wasn't
we gotta
here.
get going, guys.
Micah obviously wasn't here for last offseason during voluntary workouts. He stated that he wants to be back and he wants to take a step forward in being a leader. Does that increase his monetary value when you get to training camp, and does he see it that way? Or is it not really pertinent to the contract?
Micah has to be the player that he wants paid as. He has to be a tremendous leader for the Dallas Cowboys. He has the skill, he has the capacity mentally, and so for us to justify the kinds of dollars we're talking about with any basis, he has to literally lead the way, and he's so substantive that if he's halfway not leading, it's glaring. And so Micah has to really lead. I think he's committed to do that. The agent won't be within 1,000,000 miles of him when we're executing on what I'm talking about right here. That will be something that we might be visiting about on a week-to-week basis or talking about. So there's nothing but good in my mind that come from someone in my spot negotiating directly with players.
Jerry, do you feel like Micah has demonstrated that level of leadership in his time with the Cowboys so far? And if you want him to demonstrate leadership differently, what would you want differently from what he's already
in
done?
every aspect of Micah, he's got great potential to do more. Every aspect, whether it be, in my mind, physically, or from the standpoint of leadership. He has a lot of potential, and he is so capable mentally that he could make us all follow him a little bit. I think he's that kind of individual, and he's that kind of a person. But I will tell you that those are the kinds of things that I want to personally have total and complete satisfaction that I've got a commitment from him, and that I can see that it's not just contract talk.
Real quickly, any thoughts on DeMarcus Lawrence's seemingly jab when he went to Seattle saying the Cowboys won't win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, he's like me. DeMarcus was such a competitor for us. Boy, the idea that we didn't get to compete and be in a championship game and compete like that is frustrating when I think about his level of competes. And so I have a lot of goodwill. I have a big place in my heart for what he gave the Dallas Cowboys, and I appreciate what he was as a leader. And if I let somebody with a sentence that I've spent my life with or spent years with, but if I let friends, family, or what have you, if I let a choice of words or a place to speak couch what I think about them, then I'm not really much in that relationship. He's in so many other ways shown me where his heart is, how he felt about being a Cowboy. So I paid no attention to that at all.
How did you feel about Micah responding to what DeMarcus said? Do you prefer he engages in that, doesn't engage in that? Frankly, although here I am talking about it, but everybody should look and see just how special Lawrence was, what he gave, and his level of trying to help us win. And I think that tells you where you are. Our fans should really look at that, in my mind, and it will have zero input what he said as to when I'm thinking about Ring of Honor. Zero. It won't be anything but pluses for Lawrence.